Hello students, today we will see our next session of subject Principles of Programming Language. The topics to be covered in these sessions are constructor in Java, this keyword, garbage collection, finalize method, overloading method, argument passing, object as a parameter, and returning the object. Now, what is a constructor? A constructor can be used to set initial values for object attributes. It is a block of code that initializes the newly created object. At the time of calling constructor, memory for the object is allocated in the memory. A constructor reassembles an instance method in a Java, but it's not a method as it doesn't have a return type, even word also. Right? So constructor can be invoked automatically by the JVM whenever we create an object. So the rules for creating the constructor is constructor having same name as a class name. And what is the job of constructor? The job of constructor is to initialize the data members. Now see here, I am having one class geek, right? In that the data members and member functions are there. So if I want to create a constructor, just here geek. So geek is same name as of my class name. So geek is a constructor. Constructor doesn't have any access modifier, even word also. Means what? It return nothing. So there are two types of constructor in Java. One is a default constructor. So when a default constructor is called default when it doesn't have any parameter, right? It will be invoked at the time of object creation. The default constructor is used to provide default values to the object like 0 or null, depending on the type of the data. For example, here I am having one class bike. See here, I am having one class bike1. Now I am going to create one constructor. Now this bike1 is my constructor. In that I have write one statement, system.print.out.println bike is created. Now inside a main method I am just calling this particular constructor. So I have created one object b is bike b is equals to new bike1. So with the help of this new keyword I am going to create one object, right? So here I am not going to call bike b1 constructor. I am just creating the object. When the object is created, default constructor gets called automatically. So what will be the output? Bike is created. Now parameterized constructor. Second type is parameterized constructor. A constructor which having some specific numbers of parameters is called as the parameterized constructor. For example, see here, I am having one class student. In that I am having ID, student ID, then name. Right? I am going to create one constructor, parameterized constructor. Why it is parameterized constructor? Because I am passing here integer I and string n. Though two variables I am having here, right? So here inside a constructor I give a body, I assign I to ID and string n to the name, right? Now see here one method, display method just display the ID and name, right? So public static void main, inside a main function I have created two objects s1 and s2. Student s1 is equals to new student and I am passing their value. For I value, for integer value I am passing 111, and for string n, for name I am having here current as a value. Same way for object s2, I am passing to value and rn as a name, right? So if it is default constructor, then no need to call it explicitly, no need to call, right? It will call it automatically, but it is a parameterized constructor, so we need to call this. So s1 dot display and s2 dot display. With the help of these objects, I am just going to display the output. So in display there is id and name. So what will be the output? 111 Karan and 222 Aryan. Right? So what are the rules for creating a Java constructor? Right? A constructor name must have a same name as its class name. Constructor must have no explicit return type. Right? Means void, int, div, etc. are no return type is for the constructor. Then constructor cannot be abstract, static, final and synchronized. Now see, Java constructor cannot be overloaded. It does not it cannot be abstract, static and final. Right? So what is the final? Static. We'll see one by one next. So here is a difference between constructor and normal methods in the Java. Right? So Java constructor. So what is the job of constructor? Is used to initialize the state of objects. Now what is the use of Java method? Method is used to expose the behavior of an object. Right? The functionality of an object. Now constructor must not have a return type. Here method must have a return type. At least void. It should have a void if it returns nothing. Then constructor invokes implicitly. Method is invoked explicitly. What is meant by implicitly? Implicitly means what? Automatically. And what is meant by explicitly? We need to call the particular method. Without calling, cannot execute it. A Java compiler provides a default constructor if you don't have any constructor in a class. If we are not going to write any constructor, then Java having a default constructor. But there is no default method in a Java. Constructor must be in the same as a class name. Method name may or may not be same. If method names are same, then it is called as method overloading. We will see this point afterwards. So this is a basic difference. This difference is asked in a university question paper. So remember this. Now next point is this keyword. So this is the reference variable that refers to the current object. Right? So why we use this keyword? So by using this keyword, we are going to refer the current object, current running object. So see here one program. I am having one class, that is test. In a class test, I am having a and b as the two variables. Is a parameterized constructor. Test int a and int b. I am passing their two variables. So a, I am assigning this a to this dot a and b to this dot b. So while display system.out.println a is equals to and b is equals to b. So when I am going to now see here, in a main function I just created one object. The object name is object is equals to new test. Now I am passing here 10 and 20. So this 10 and 20 will be assigned to this a and b. Now this a and b will assign to this dot a and this dot b. And when I just call the function display, it will assign to this a and b, and final output is a is equals to 10 and b is equals to 20. So what is the why we use this? This is used to refer the current object, running object. Right? Now this keyword, the most common use of this keyword is used to eliminate the confusion between class attributes and the parameter with the same name. Right? Means what? In this program, class also having a and b as a same name variables, and constructor is also having a and b. So if I am going to write this dot a, so this dot a is belongs to this constructor only, not to the class. Right? This can be also be used to invoke a current class constructor, invoke current class method, returning the current class object, pass an argument in a method, pass an argument in a constructor. Now next point is garbage collection. What is a garbage collection? Now see, in a C and C++, programmer is responsible for both creation and destruction of the object. By using new and keyword, we can assign and deallocates the memory in a C and C++. Right? But many times usually programmers neglect destruction of useless objects. So what So due to this, what happened? The particular memory is full and there is abnormally messages like out of memory errors. So to avoid this, in a Java, programmer need not care for those objects which are no longer in use. So garbage collector destroy these types of object, right? So garbage collector is the best example of daemon thread. Daemon thread is used to delete the particular objects which are running in a background, right? So main object of garbage collection is what? To free the heap memory. Now next point is finalize method. So what is a finalize method? So this method is a method of object class, and this method is called, an object is garbage collection is called. Garbage collected, before we use before the garbage collection we have to use the finalize method. Finalize method overrides to dispose system resources, perform cleanup activities and minimize the memory leaks, right? So how to write the finalize method? Protected, this is a access specifier. Word finalize, finalize my method name. Throws and throwable, so it throws an exception of throwable class. So final, lowercase, we have to use the final in a lowercase. It is a keyword reserved in a Java, so we cannot use it as an identifier. Now next is method overloading. So what is the method overloading? We can method overloading means method having same name but different in a parameter or different in a return type. So why we use method overloading? By using method overloading, multiple methods can be have same multiple methods we can use the multiple methods of having same name. So it increase the reliability of the programs, right? So see here, int my method, my method, my method, my method. The name of method is the same, but the parameter which we are passing to this particular methods and the return type of these methods are the difference. So int my method int x is different than float my method int x, right? So there are two ways to overload the method in Java: by changing number of arguments and by changing the data types. So data type changing means what? Int, float, double. These are the data types. And by changing number of arguments means what? Int x, here double x, double y, float x, likewise. So this is one example. Now see, in this example we overload plus method to work for both int and double. So static int plus method. So I'm having one plus method, and that method is having integer as a return type, and this method is a static. So we need not create two object of this method. So I'm having two parameters x and y. So what it returns? Return x plus y. So I'm having again second method, static double plus method. So here I'm passing two values x and y which of data type double. So these are also two parameters, these are also two parameters, but these are integer parameters, these are double parameters. Return type of this plus method is integer and return type of this method is the double. So this is a method overloading. What it return? Return x plus y. So this is same. See, the code is also same. So public static void main. Inside a main I have created two objects. For integer method I'm having to create integer my num is equals to plus method, and I'm going to pass there two values 8 and 5. So this 8 will assigns to x and 5 will be assigned to y. So what it returns when it called? What it returns? X plus y means 8 plus 5, that is 13. For double I'm going to pass 4.3 and 6.26. So addition of this is 10.55. So here I am not going to call by using dot operator. Whenever I am just going to create one particular object, the static method gets called automatically, right? Next point is argument passing. What does it mean by argument passing? There are different ways in which parameter can be passed into and out of methods and functions, right? For example, let assume that function B is called from another function A. In this case, A is called as caller function and B is called as callee function, right? Arguments which A sends to B are called as actual argument, and the parameters of B are called as formal argument. Now there are two ways of passing the particular parameters. One is called as formal parameter, one is called parameter. What is a formal parameter? A variable and its type as they appear in a prototype. Means what? For example, this is a function name and these are the actual variable which we assign. Right? Now actual parameter is what? The variable or expression corresponding to formal parameter that appears in the function or method. Now see here, function name, variable name, and I am passing here one object. See, this is not actual parameter. Means what? Variable name, and I am passing here one object. Right? Means what? This includes the parameter of function or method calling a calling environment. So how to pass the particular parameters? Pass by the value and pass by the address. So there are two ways. Pass by the value means what? Changes made to formal parameter do not get transmitted back to the caller. Right? So any modifications in a formal parameter inside a called function or method affect only a separate storage location. It will not reflected to actual parameter. Java is strictly call by value. Now see, here is one example, call by value. Here is one function which having two values, value 1 and value 2. Right? Create a copy of value 1 and value 2. So value 1 having 10 number and value 2 having 12 number. Now I am having another function, num1 and num2. Right? A statement calling function, initially value of val1 is 10, val2 is 12. Now here I am having same function num1 and num2. Now what is the value of num1? 10 and num2 12 initially. But if I am going to override this num1, val1 and val2 as x is equal to 40 and y is equal to 50, then the value of this particular x and y will be 40 and 50 are limited to this function only, and value, but it doesn't going to change the value of val1 and val2. If I am going to print after this function, if I am going to print value 1 and value 2, then it will be 10 and 12. It is not 40 and 50. Now call by reference means what? Changes made to formal parameter do get transmitted back to caller function also. It means what? If it is called by reference, then the value of val1 and val2 get changed by 40 and 50. Now see here, call by reference. I am having one class A, right, int x. Now in function A object. Now object x is equal to 20. So what is the value of x? Value of x is initially 20. Right? Now class B, in a main function I am going to create one object A, new A. Here I call just I am just going to create one object A. Now A dot x is equal to 10. So initially, first of all, our class B is run. Why? Because in class B there is a main function. So main function is a entry point of the program. So A का एक object create होगा. Now in that A, I am having value that is 10 initially, right? Now here I am going to call a function, right? What is the address? Suppose 2008 function, address is there. Now after this function, the object is called of method in a class A. So object x is equals to 20. Now 10 जो value पहले था वो अभी रफ हो गया, नया जो value है वो get reflected at the location of a dot x. Right? Means what? Value is changed. Now object as a parameter. Now when we pass primitive type of to the method, it is by value. But when we pass an object to a method, the situation changes because objects are passed by what it effectively called by references. Java does these interesting things that sort of hybrid between pass by value and pass by references. Basically, a parameter cannot be changed by function, but a function can ask parameter to change itself via calling method. Now returning a objects. Use return operator in the method to return a value. Method can return primitive type or reference type. Right? For example, the class of the return object must be either a subclass or a extract class of the return type. Now we already seen the return keyword in the previous lecture. So same way we have to use the return operator in the method to return the value. So thank you.